promised, that is the road to Louisville, how we got here. And I can't think of anyone better to talk to us about the road out of Louisville than Linnea Olson.
All right, well, I think that where I should start is just telling you what it was like before there were ALK mutations. In my own particular case, I was diagnosed in 2005. I had a lower left lobectomy followed by 4 rounds of adjuvant chemo. My cancer came back immediately. We did watch and wait, and by the summer of 2008, I had more than 33 tumors throughout both my lungs. At that point in time, I asked my very positive oncologist how much time I had left, and he said 3 to 5 months. So back then, when someone told you that you had run out of options, you truly had run out of options, because treating lung cancer at that point in time, there were 3 things. Unless you were EGFR positive, there was Tarceva, but otherwise it was chemotherapy, radiation, surgery. Radiation was never an option for me simply because my cancer was too diffuse. So I did the hard work of accepting the fact that I was going to die. And I have to tell you, it's the saddest, loneliest feeling in the world. My youngest child was 11 at the time. He got counseling. I got counseling. I went to Colorado to say goodbye to my family. I figured this was it. And then I went into an appointment to review my scans. I learned that my doctor had submitted part of my biopsy that had been used for restaging for genetic testing, and I was positive for an ALK mutation. But, I had no idea what an ALK mutation was. Was this a good thing? Was this a bad thing? And he said, all right, the way I see it going forward, you have 4 options. He said, you can do nothing, and I knew what that meant. He said, you could stay on Tarceva, because he had put me on Tarceva, just kind of last-ditch effort. Let's see if this works. You could return to traditional chemotherapy, or you could enroll in this phase 1 clinical trial for this new experimental therapeutic that targets ALK mutations. I didn't even have to think about it. I just said, the trial. Out of all of those options, it was the only one that offered a sliver of hope. But again, to put it into perspective, back in 2008, a sliver of hope meant, I hope I live for 3 to 4 more months. I hope this extends my life. Sorry guys, I'm going to get emotional. But just a little tiny bit. I had no idea that I would be here 10 years later talking to you. So. Thank you. So, did the little video load? And then I should tell you that I ended up having the privilege of being the 4th person in the world with non-small cell lung cancer to go on trial for crizotinib. And because the ALK world was such a small world back then, I can tell you that number 1 died shortly after starting the trial. And I knew about him because he was the only other person at my hospital who'd been on trial. And he died in part because of crizotinib. So I knew going on that this drug could actually hasten my demise. I was hoping it wouldn't. I ended up meeting 2 and 3 through Inspire. 2 was a young man in Boston, 3 was a woman in New Zealand. And the 3 of us, 2, 3, and 4, developed our own little support group way back then to talk about being ALK positive and being on crizotinib. And sadly, the young man passed away rather quickly. The woman and I became very close friends, and she lived up until about 5 years ago. So that was a special part of my journey.
Is this the one you're talking about?
I think
What
it's
was
the
the
video
other
that
one?
was on the flash drive.
There's a video,
The one on the flash
Oh,
drive.
okay.
The Linnea Olson.
and this video I wanted to show you was something where in the spring, after I had started on crizotinib, I went in to see Alice, and Alice Shaw is my oncologist. She's been my oncologist for almost a decade now. And I had on this t-shirt that my daughter had given me for Mother's Day that says, "One tough mother." That's exactly what I would have worn if I'd known I was being filmed. Pfizer had asked if I would do a little impromptu video, and I wanted to show this to you just because it still makes me happy, but it also shows you me young, me old, which I never thought I'd have the privilege of being. So,
Don't need that microphone.
oh. I can really liken the feeling at diagnosis to kind of being in a plane that was going down. You know, I just thought this was it. And it's interesting, I've spoken to my husband about how he was on the plane too, but he was going to survive and I wasn't. So it was really a very stressful thing. I had never smoked, and so even though I was coughing, I had shortness of breath. Nobody suspected lung cancer. I remember when I heard the news, I was just floored. I was a stage 1B initially. I had just a solitary tumor, but it was extremely large. It was 5 centimeters. Lung cancer overall has a 15% 5-year survival rate. And I had a lower left lobectomy where they removed that portion of my lung. Well, after the surgery, I had adjuvant chemo. My first scan after chemotherapy showed some areas of concern in my lungs. And as time went on, there were more and more of these areas of concern. So realistically, I probably could have been restaged as of some years ago. But officially, I was restaged last summer. I had gotten the news about the restaging a couple weeks before my daughter's marriage. That was really odd. It was really weird to watch my daughter get married, knowing that, you know, in all likelihood, I would never see any of her children. You know, I'd never be a grandma. I really felt like I was at the end of my rope. I was truly preparing for my death. I had begun to see a psychiatrist here and the thoracic social worker, trying to prepare my children for this. And then all of a sudden, you know, I have this mutation, there is a clinical trial that targets it, and I am given another chance. I had my first scan 7 weeks after starting trial, and for the first time ever since I began this journey, I wasn't nervous. I felt so good that I felt it was going to be a good scan. Well, it was unbelievable. You know, my oncologist walked in the room and was just grinning ear to ear and said, "This is the best news I've given anybody in months." And if I can quote him, he said, "This is flipping amazing." And it was an almost total response. You know, not what anybody expected. Before, I had this big fire in my lungs, and now, you know, it's just a little tiny smolder. I'm a realist. I know a lot of that is still very much up in the air, but I've just been given a chance again, and I take full advantage of it. I really, really enjoy every single day, and sometimes I feel like I'm probably the happiest person alive. So I kind of cheated because Phil wanted me to talk about where things are going, but I started with where they were. Part of the reason I did this is I wanted to give you just a little bit of feeling of what it was like to be at that place where there were no options, where there wasn't an ALK mutation. And then to let you know that I'm now in my third phase 1 clinical trial for lorlatinib. Each time I've started a trial, it has been with the knowledge that there was nothing else when this failed me. And yet, somehow, medical research has stayed one step ahead of me. Well, right now, if it were to fail me tomorrow, I'm not really certain what would be next. I mean, we have some incredibly exciting things on the horizon with CRISPR and the CAR T cells and immunotherapy. None of it is appropriate for us yet, but I think it's going to be. I think in my own case, if I were to recur right now, Alice would probably try a combination therapy. Those are still kind of dicey too because of side effects, but again, to me, it's just such a world of possibilities now, and that to me is hope, having options. And I think everybody in this room has so many reasons to be hopeful.
I won't even try to follow that. So I think I will announce that we'll take our scheduled break a little early. So if you need a bathroom break, let's call it 15 minutes, okay? And then we'll be back going. If in the meantime